The market gives us another leg down this morning as Bitcoin's hovering around $113,000. However, altcoins didn't really take the severe hit as they did yesterday. So in this video, I'm going to go over the altcoin setups that I think have very good potential for bounces heading into the end of August and into Q4, and why honestly these types of dips are par for the course along the road to the bull market. I'm going to go over some of the monthly numbers over the course of history that show that this is really nothing out of the norm. And I'm going to give you guys 6 tokens that I think are phenomenal levels for longer term DCAs. So without further ado, let's jump into it. And before we dive into the bulk of the content, be sure to drop down below if you're enjoying the content here on the channel. Like the video down below and subscribe for more every single day here on In the Game. We have you covered market wide from AI, RWA, crypto gaming, meme coins, and all of the alpha that you need to win this bull run. So like and subscribe below. And of course, a big shout out to our sponsors here on In the Game. We have some incredible sponsors from Nexus Labs, the software we use every single day on these videos. Blowfin, one of the best centralized exchanges in the entire industry, and our newest sponsor, 𝗪𝗫W by CoinW. So this is CoinW's derivatives exchange. We all know the exit velocity that decentralized perps platforms like Hyperliquid have had over the course of this cycle, and CoinW is one of the leaders as far as the centralized game. This is their brand new decentralized perps exchange, some of the lowest fees in the industry, very efficient trades, tons of pairs, no KYC required. And the best part is if you missed out on Hyperliquid's airdrop, you can potentially get allocated into CoinW's 𝗪𝗫W airdrop coming up in this market. So that is one of the biggest pros to utilizing this platform, as Hyperliquid is live in the market, but this is an upcoming launch that you could potentially qualify for an airdrop. So there's a link down below in the description if you want to check out this decentralized perps exchange and be one of the early users, especially if you missed out on Hyperliquid's initial airdrop. So we'll have a lot more coming on the 𝗪𝗫W exchange, but let's just go ahead and jump into the markets right now. As I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, kind of unfortunate, but we took another plunge downward, down 2.34% on Bitcoin on the day, sitting at those low 113,000s. Ethereum still maintaining that 4K level, which I think is very important. If we were to slip below 4K, and especially if Bitcoin goes under 110, that could be a little bit of a slippery slope to the downside. But honestly, when we start looking, usually when Bitcoin at these levels goes down 2, 3, 4% or 5% on the weekly at this point in time, you start to see altcoins tumble. But most of the main altcoins, all the way down to, $700, $500 million market cap coins, are only down a couple of percentage points on the day, where usually if Bitcoin was to slide 2.3%, especially above 100K, you're seeing altcoins lose 5, 10, 15% on their daily charts. But this time around, it's just not the case, which I think is showing a lot of strength for the market. And we're about to go over right now some of the signs I'm seeing that big money is not slowing down. Retail interest is creeping back into the space, but we're going to go over performance over the historical timelines and why this right here, what is happening in the market right in front of us, the majority red charts all pasted over the screen, is actually a very usual part of the cycle. So let's just jump in to a little bit of news bits. We see Cardone Capital, which is Grant Cardone's real estate company, adds 130 Bitcoin in their Miami River refinance, or their 4th deal with real estate. So we see Cardone Capital buying into Bitcoin and really believing in that. Not just Gary Cardone, it's Grant Cardone's brother, but Grant himself and his company are doing a lot with Bitcoin. We see Kindly MD acquiring 5,700 Bitcoin worth $679 million through its Nakamoto subsidiary, which brings their total holdings to 5,765 Bitcoin. And also just seeing the bearishness across the timeline on stuff like ETH. People asking if, okay, maybe that was the top for ETH. Is ETH going to break its all-time high ever again? That 4,500 level, that's ETH's top. I don't really understand that logic whatsoever. And as Crypto God John tweets here, Kind of crazy to see how bearish the timeline has turned on ETH after its first major pullback. Like, we've had nothing but an up-only chart on Ethereum the last couple of months, and now we get one singular pullback, still sitting at 4,100, and people just start freaking out. I just think the overreaction in this market is crazy, but the thing about it is it's all PTSD, right? When you look back at 2021, when you look back at the altcoin run at the end of 2023 heading into 2024, and then vice versa, the run at the end of 2024 up until the Trump coin, a lot of people felt like they just did not take enough profits. So whenever we've been running up like this in the major markets, we've seen XRP hit all-time highs, BNB hit all-time highs, ETH almost hit those all-time highs, Bitcoin making new highs, etc. A lot of people get scared a little bit. Every pullback, they wonder, is this the top at this point in the market? But I think this cycle is just so much different. We haven't seen rate cuts, major money coming into these major coins. We see ETH treasury company SharpLink Gaming adding another $600 million into its ETH stockpile. A newly created wallet was funded and bought $54.6 million worth of Ethereum. Smart money is buying the Ethereum dip. All the while, we're seeing US bankruptcies are surging past 2020 pandemic levels. So all these factors are lining up to where crypto has made its mark up to this point. Bitcoin hit new all-time highs literally a week ago, which is the crazy thing. Like 5-6 days ago, we were looking at an all-time high, $123,000 on Bitcoin. And now the fear in the market is insane. So if we got rate cuts heading into Q4, I think we're in for a major point in the market where we have tons of upside. And just going over the quarterly and monthly returns here, this adds up. When we look at Q3, it's actually littered with one of the most reds over the course of history. Other than Q1, which has historically been pretty bad for Bitcoin, Q3 is the second worst quarter in Bitcoin's history. And Q4 has proven to be the absolute best quarter. Back in 2013, 479% gains. Back in 2017, 215%. Back in 2020, 168%. And then over the course of the last 2 years, combined about 111% gain on Bitcoin. And then Q4 is pending. And it's the same thing with ETH. If we look at 2017, 142%. We see 2020, 104%. 2021, 22%. So Q4 has historically been the best time in the market. And on top of that, August has not been a good month. Over the course of the last 10 years, only 1, 2, 3, 4 times has there been a green August. And it is certainly looking like we're going to have an overall red August as far as the crypto markets. September is really not that much better. Only 4 times have we had a green month over the course of the last 10 years. And actually, it has only happened. It's never happened in the course of the 4-year cycle. It was red in 2013, 17, and 21. But October has proven to be that time period where the market really switches on in that 4-year cycle, where we've only had 2 red months over the course of the last 10 years. So that is really the time to begin, I would say, stockpiling your crypto and making sure you're allocated into the markets, because we could see this downside last a little longer. Like, no one really knows, especially with rate cuts maybe not coming for 3-4 weeks from now at the next FOMC meeting. That could be the trigger to finally send us into that peak of euphoria where ETH finally surpasses all-time highs. We see Bitcoin make a new leg up above its recent all-time highs, and then altcoins begin their trajectory. So I know that was a lot of information to take in, but just looking at the history of the crypto markets, it doesn't always, history does not repeat itself, as they say. However, it does rhyme. And I think that this October trend is going to once again prove accurate here this year. And I'm really looking forward to see after that rate cut potentially in September, if the market does turn to the bullish side, setting up another green October and hopefully a green September. But what are the altcoins right now in the market that I see great opportunity in? So as of yesterday, those coins don't change. I'm still very bullish Hyperliquid. I'm still very bullish 𝗬𝗎. All of the coins I mentioned in yesterday's video still stand. I think those are still great buy points for the long term. And look, I don't really think you have to rush into buying any of these given where we are in the market right now. But I think there are 6 coins, which I'm going to talk about in this video, that are just screaming at very good prices at this point in time. Number 1 is Avalanche. Now, I'm beating a drum at this point that just hasn't really, it's like the meme where you have a stick and you're poking something like, oh, do something, like move, please. That's what's happening right now with Avalanche. It's unfortunate. Avalanche is still sitting at that $22 level, when in reality, despite whatever you say about stuff on Avalanche, or a lot of people are upset with Black Hole, but it is the #1 DEX on the platform right now. It's brought so much liquidity to Avalanche. Avalanche is by far the most undervalued major in the market right now. And I don't think it's even close. It's actually embarrassingly cheap considering the developments the last 12 months. Just today, they announced $300 million more in RWAs tokenized on Avalanche, where SkyBridge Capital, Anthony Scaramucci's entity, tokenizes $300 million in hedge funds, all on Avalanche. They also just recently did one of the biggest real estate deals on chain on Avalanche. We're also seeing at this point in time the first state-issued stablecoin. The state of Wyoming is launching their stablecoin with Visa integrated platform Raincard on Avalanche. This is all happening in real time. I'm not seeing a single blockchain out there at this point in time getting more real world integrations than Avalanche. So at this point, the price suppression makes no sense. And I think once the market does turn its eyes to other altcoin ecosystems, I think that Avalanche is going to absolutely springboard. And it's not just American adoption. We're seeing Japan's yen-backed stablecoin gets the regulatory green light and is set to launch on AVAX. The JPYC today received approval as the first money transfer platform able to be issued stablecoins backed 1-to-1 by the yen. So to me, AVAX is screaming DCAs at these levels. I think these low $20 ranges will turn out very well. And I think if you are buying at these levels, those buys will age very nicely for you. And then off the back of the stablecoin news, on top of that, we recently saw one of the first ever IPOs go live fully funded by stablecoins. This was on Solana. I think the entity was Bullish. And look, I'm looking very hard at projects that are leaning into the Stablecoin Act as stablecoins are getting more regulatory clarity. And Blockstreet literally is that. It's the USD1 launchpad, the World Liberty Fi official launchpad, cross-chain, tons of different things going on with the Block token. And as this thing continues to fall, I mean, I think 14 cents is a crazy DCA level here. If the market conditions weren't like this, Block would be 30 cents at this point in time. So I think this is going to really load up and springboard once the market turns around, especially given all of the clarity around stable coins and with the hype coming up with USD1 and World Liberty Fi. Number 3 is, and this one has taken a nice dip. I wouldn't have been buying it consistently at the $1.50 level that it was at, but now that it's taken about a 15-20% dip over the last coming weeks, it's back in that dollar cost average range, down 18% over the 7-day time period. We've been talking about this one since 60 cents. This is 𝗧𝗧. So 𝗧𝗧 is sitting at $1.17 today, and really it's one of the most consistently updated bullish platforms in all of crypto. First of all, 40% of the maximum supply are assigned as equity. So what that means is these early investors in this token, unlike 99% of tokens in crypto, they can't just get their tokens and sell them. They have to make equity deals and negotiate to be able to offload those shares to another investor. So not a lot of these will be sold on the open market. And their CEO is vigorous on updating every single week on what's going on with 𝗧𝗧. And of course, their TPS, everything going on with this platform to me screams bullish. I think the next leg up for 𝗧𝗧 is going to be near $2. So in these low $1 ranges, I think 𝗧𝗧 is a fantastic buy at this point in time. And of course, for me, I'm looking very much at AI coins To me, AI coins will still be one of the absolute leaders in this entire market moving forward. And the one ecosystem you guys know I'm very keyed in on is 𝗨. 𝗨 is sitting at about 340 as of today. It's taken a nice dip over the course of the week, down 10% on the weekly and 20% on the monthly, sitting at 345 currently. And look, if you don't want to buy 𝗨, there's a way to earn free 𝗨 out there right on the floor, like picking up pennies if you want to. You can go out there and use inspect, and you can start tweeting about 𝗨 and earning 𝗨 via mining just by posting about 𝗨 on social media. You can use inspect.xyz, log in, connect your X, and just confirm your wallet address, and they will begin giving you rewards every time you post about 𝗨. This is one of the easiest ways to get exposure. And I always say this, guys, there's ways to make money for free in this market. Whether it be SocialFi, Kaido, airdrop farming, there's so many things you can do out there to pick up a skill, run with it, and there will be rewards down that track. This is a very easy one to pick up the top AI coin, literally for just, if you're bullish on 𝗨, you can just tweet about it and be able to get involved due to this rewards program. And then looking at the 𝗨 ecosystem, I love 𝗨bot at this point in time, and I had seen some questions a while back. What makes me bullish on a certain 𝗨 ecosystem coin? Because a lot of people haven't even dove into the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 network, and understandably, it is pretty difficult to onboard, etc. So you guys know I love 𝗪𝗏 as under 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. It's one of their subnets, very much leaning into AI and gaming. But for me, the number one 𝗨 ecosystem token is by far 𝗨bot, sitting at $37 million market cap. Over the course of the year, this thing's gotten up as high as about 80 cents, 78 cents back in January, and just recently eclipsed that 70-cent mark, nearly hitting that all-time high. But the reason I'm so bullish on 𝗨bot is they are the number one validator on the entire network. So the adoption on 𝗨bot is right in front of you. Can't be faked. The amount of money, the amount of 𝗨 being put through their validator is right here on chain. It's even above the Open Tensor Foundation. So to me, 𝗨bot is by far the leader in this sector as far as 𝗨 ecosystem tokens. And there's one gaming coin that I'm just watching in the market right now trend sideways amidst altcoins just absolutely tanking over this last week. Most coins are down 20% over the course of weekly or monthly charts, given the climate in the market this August. But right now, 𝗥𝗡𝗥, and it's sitting at this 10-cent level right now, but it has not lost this 10-cent level this entire time. I mean, the lowest it went early August was 8. It ripped back up to about 12 cents, so about a 33% gain there. But it's hovering around this 10-cent mark, one of the strongest coins as far as just maintaining these levels. And I think that this will springboard over the coming weeks when the market does turn back to the green. Their token did just turn 1 year old today. And look, if we look at their chart, it's one of the rare coins that, yes, you know, it launched around 5 cents, but it springboarded all the way up to 40 cents. And we caught this move back at the end of last year, if you guys remember on this channel. And it really has not hit that launch price back in July, but it's one of those rare gaming coins that a year later is actually up over the course of the time period, almost up 100% from its launch price at that 5-cent level, sitting at 10 cents. I think that this one is gearing up for big upside when the market does in fact turn around. So those are the 6 coins I am looking at right now as far as AVAX, Block, 𝗕TA, 𝗨, 𝗨bot, and 𝗥𝗡𝗥. And of course, watch yesterday's video because a lot of those coins as well, I'm still very much bullish on the levels that we're at today. But as far as right now, setups and current prices, I see a lot of good stuff gearing up for those 6 tokens in the short term, and especially if you have that conviction for the rest of 2025. I think all 6 of those plays will play out very, very well. And of course, I have to say, this is one of those hard times in the market. Holding through is not easy. Having conviction and not capitulating in these times is one of the hardest. It's not even a skill. It's more so being a psycho. Like, you're not going to let these short-term dips waver your conviction. A lot of us have been waiting for this moment since 2021, right? You may have not taken enough profits, or maybe, you took good profits, but you could have maximized it way more. And it's the same thing. If we remember back in 2021, I'm just going to go pull up the Ethereum chart, for example. We'll pull up the all chart here on Ethereum. We literally saw, and the all chart here on Nexus is not going all the way back, but we saw the market dip from May all the way to September, and finally mid-September we saw the market trajectory kick back up, and I showed you guys that returns chart where October really seems to be the sweet spot. And maybe if we get that bullish October, that's when we start taking some chips off the table. But hold strong, have that conviction. I think it will pay off. And if you're enjoying the content on the channel, like the video and subscribe down below. As mentioned, check out Nexus, Blofin, 𝗓𝗏𝗪, all of our partner exchanges down below in the description. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. As always, play well, my friends, trade responsibly. And of course, and especially in these times, stay bullish, my friends.